Hello, and welcome to another episode of Talkappella. I am one of your hosts, Alicia. Joining me is my good friend, as always, Brian. How are you, Brian?
I'm doing fantastic, Alicia. How are you doing today?
I'm so good. I'm so good. I'm really excited to be
Good.
here. I love a cappella. We discuss all things a cappella on this show, and we're excited
We
for
do.
what we have on this episode today. What do we got, Brian? Tell me.
Man, we have a special treat for our listeners today. A lot of our most recent episodes have been Alicia and I, where we really
Mm-hmm.
dive into some deep acapella topics. We're bringing something very unique today that we haven't done in a while because
Or,
we
s-
have a.
or someone.
There you go. All right. Well, there it is.
Oh,
See, cat's out of
there
the
it is.
bag.
There it is.
We have a special guest joining us today. So, our guest joining us today is a member and one of the choreographers of this year's ICCA Champion Bloom from Utah Valley University. During this year's ICCA finals, she and fellow group member Cicely Poulter were awarded the Outstanding Choreography Award for Bloom's competition set. Joining us on this episode of Talkappella is none other than Isabella Henao. Isabella, how's it going?
Hi, it's going good. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, we are
Of course,
so
of
happy
course.
that you're here.
In the early days of Talkappella, it was really an interview show. And so we're
Mhm.
happy to get back to our roots, and we couldn't think of a better guest to bring on the show just due to
Absolutely.
all the incredible things you and your group have been doing recently. So thank you. We really appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
Well, we are happy to have you. Before we get too deep into your a cappella experience, I want to start off asking you about your dance background because that's a big
Yeah.
part. I mean, choreography is a big part of the discussion that we're going to have today. So, we know that you have prior involvement in color guard.
Yeah.
So, in terms of dance, is that where it kind of all started for you, or does it go back even further?
It goes back even further. So I did ballet for a
Okay,
little bit, and then my dad, he was a football coach, and so my
nice.
brother was in football. He's like, "Hey, would it be so cute if like my daughters are on the sideline cheering for my team?"
But not
So
like a cheerleader?
no, I was a cheerleader,
Oh,
yeah.
you were a cheerleader too. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I did cheer, and then
Very
I
cool.
stopped doing dance for a while, and then when I got into high school, we had a color guard team come in, and I was like, "Wow, I really like that. I wanna throw a gun in the air, like, that's so cool." Um, so yeah, I ended up joining color guard, and I did that for 3 years until
Very
COVID,
cool.
so
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
so fun
yeah.
fact, you're not the only
Mhm.
one in this conversation who has a background in color guard.
Mhm.
I
Oh!
I did color guard. I grew up in Texas. I did color
Oh,
guard all
yeah.
4 years of high school. I was one of the captains when I graduated. I did drum corps, which I think we talk about in our very first like rebooted episode. And
Mhm.
then I was in the color guard at BYU for a few years, and I also
That's
did
so
winter guard.
cool.
So I know when you throwing the gun in the air, I have some lovely injuries from rifles.
Oh,
And I've
yep.
I've spun saber and flag, of course. So
Yeah, I was a saber my freshman year, which was rough
now,
because they just
where are
like,
you
"Yeah."
from?
I'm from LA.
I was gonna say, because 'cause you're
Oh,
not from
wow.
Utah.
Okay.
So
No.
California, where did you go to high school?
I went to Valencia High School.
I've heard of it. I have no
Yeah, they
idea
have
how
a
far.
really big marching
Okay,
band.
of of course they do. I love it. I'm a marching band geek, so one day we can chat about that,
Oh,
we're
yeah.
talking but we are talking a cappella today, so that's so
Ex
you did ballet. So would
Mhm.
you attribute your choreography experience kind of a mix between those experiences that you had?
Oh, totally, yeah, like, when we went into the choreographing this year, like, I feel doing color guard and winter guard, and I did help with
Mhm.
staging and stuff like that,
Okay.
everything kind of I would come up and be like, "Hey, this is what I have for staging, this is the concept I have, this is the vibes, this is what I'm thinking," and Cicely would be like, "Yes, let's try doing this," and so I was able to have, like, an outsider's perspective, because I feel like a lot of people will choreograph thinking on the stage and not, like, what it looks like from above, and when you're in
Okay.
color
Mhm.
guard, everything you do, like,
Everything's
it
above.
looks everything's above,
Oh.
Mhm.
Oh,
and
that's a
Mhm.
good
so
point.
that
So
was
you were
one thing
taking into
that
account
yeah.
multiple perspectives then with that.
Oh, yeah, and I had,
Okay.
like, a bunch of programs, like, changing the angles, making sure everything looked
Mhm.
good,
That's
things
awesome.
like that. So
So
it
That's
helped so much.
were you mostly staging and then she was the choreography once it was staged, or was it really more of a team effort on that?
It was a team effort, it really
Okay.
was. Like, I can't say that one person did more than the other because we all had like, Cicely and I both had a hand in all things.
Mhm.
So, yeah, like it really was just a team effort.
That's
So I'm
awesome.
curious because normally when you think about a cappella and choreography, you don't really attribute them to like, oh man, this is about to be like some world-shattering choreography that you typically bring in. Because no offense, choir people are not the most dance savvy, is the only way I can kind of think of it.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious, because you mentioned that you were talking about concepting with dancing and,
Hmm.
bringing it into the set. So when you're like looking at like a competition set or maybe even just any kind of set that you guys want to add choreography to, where does it like actually begin? Do you like take the song and then like, okay, these are some ideas that might fit with this, or you're like, before even the music is picked, you're already thinking, all right, there's some choreography that might go well in a future set, or like for you personally as a
Yeah.
choreographer, where does all of this begin in the process?
It begins with Michael Jackson, and no, I'm not kidding.
Oh, okay. Okay. Now we're getting somewhere. I like that.
It
Okay,
All
okay.
begins with
right.
Michael Jackson. So when we went into the set this year, we were like, we really want to have a lot of legwork, a lot more just like intrigue with it. And so one of my idols, Michael Jackson, I love him to death. He
Same.
is like
Mhm.
I was
the
gonna say, who
icon.
doesn't? Who doesn't?
You're you're never gonna find somebody with a better stage presence. Like he
Hmm.
dances and sings like it's just so crazy. And
Mhm.
so he was like the biggest inspiration. And when we were also looking into choreography, we were looking at a lot of K-pop groups. And
Mhm.
K-pop groups
Yes.
actually they were very and heavily inspired off of Michael Jackson's dance and like what
I
he
Okay.
did not
did.
know that, but that doesn't
Yeah,
surprise me.
there's
Okay.
like
Mhm.
videos if you look like a bunch of these big K-pop groups are doing the same moves that Michael Jackson would do when he'd perform.
Mm,
Wow. And they dance their heads off. I've seen some of those
yeah, they
K-pop
do.
groups.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they
They're
do.
insane.
Mm.
They go crazy. So it really started with that. And then we also really wanted to do a stunt this year. So we were looking at a lot of like dance groups and stuff just for like inspiration. So like in Fallen Alien, we have a ripple that reveals Cicely because she was a soloist for that song. We
Hmm.
have a ripple that was inspired off of one of those groups. And then in our second song, we have like a backbend stunt
Hmm.
because a lot of people do lifts. We were like, we should do something a little different. So
Hmm.
we kind of did this thing that looked like she was falling. So things like
Wow.
that are really what start with the inspiration, and then it's listening to the songs and the words. Fallen Alien is the best example because it's the most dance heavy part of the show,
Hmm.
which is the third song. um and Cicely was the one that came up with the kick you down, so literally on kick you down we did a kick and then you down, and every it was so cool because people were like so hyped. It was just us kicking, and every time we do it the audience would be like which was
Well,
so
so
much fun.
so it was effective. Not only
Oh
was
yeah.
it, yeah, and so not only did you have complex choreography, but it was like it was
Yeah.
effective. So
Yeah.
I do want to I do want to ask a little bit about complex choreography because I think, I
Mhm.
mean, a few episodes ago we did kind of discuss that, and so I think, so to our listeners and our watchers, Isabella actually reached out to us. I believe you saw our first episode, and
Yeah.
you were like, I kind of have a perspective on that choreography that you talked about. So, can you tell us, to you, how do you perceive choreography in a cappella today versus what it has been in the past? And just
Yeah,
kind of speak to that for us for a minute.
it's so interesting because I recently went back and looked at this from I wanted to see the evolution of acapella choreography before Pitch Perfect. Because you
Mhm.
see Pitch
Mm-hmm.
Perfect, and I feel like the dance is starting to kind of become that and a little more.
Right, right.
So if you
Mhm.
look at 2012's winner, which was SoCal Vocals, it's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
just like very basic lines and shapes. Um, which is like we gave it the word just like old acapella choreography, just
Mm-hmm.
like even though
Oh
it's not
boy.
old, it's not
Okay, now
old,
you're
just like
making us feel ancient now because it's
I
been
was
a
gonna
no.
say,
second of the group.
I mean, I was still in school in 2012.
Wow. I'm just kidding. I'm
Sorry,
just
didn't mean to
kidding.
derail that.
I
Yeah,
hadn't
yeah.
graduated quite yet.
No, we need to find a better word for that. But like then when I know you have then groups like you look at SoCal Vocals who also they won in 2017, 2018, I think.
Hmm.
Then they did like started playing with levels and a lot more movement.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Then you have NYU who did a lift. And that's when you start
Yes.
seeing groups doing a lot more lifts and playing with levels is when those groups kind of start doing those things. So like I feel like it's gonna become very much like K-pop. We wanted to do a lot of legwork and of course playing with levels. We did that a lot. And so I think we're getting to the point where people are seeing a cappella not as just like we're gonna stand here and sing, but they want to give a
Right.
show. Like they
Mhm.
Right.
really want to just put so much more choreography into it. And one of the groups that we saw last year that we competed against in our quarterfinals did that. And they also took a lot of inspiration from K-pop groups. And we were just like, wow, we should do what they're doing. Like they're doing so much legwork, they're having so much fun. It's like seeing a concert live. So that's kind of what we think. And we think like Cicely and I were talking about this yesterday that acapella is kind of reaching a point where it's the choreography is kind of modernizing in a
Mhm.
Yes.
sense,
Mhm.
where we're hitting this like turn. Um, so that's just kind of like what we think at the moment is going on.
Yeah, because man, I've watched so many videos. I can't even tell you how many acapella videos I've watched, especially with ICCA stuff, and
He
I've
really
paid a lot of
can't.
attention.
He can't
No,
count them.
I'm not going to make
Brian
myself out to
Brian
be a
is
bigger nerd than I already am.
Brian's
So,
our acapella nerd on the show.
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
a little bit. But one of the
A
things
little a
I've
little
like,
bit?
okay, Alicia. I
Mm,
mean, yes, I'm a big acapella nerd.
mm,
I'm sorry.
it's
Um,
true.
No shame in it. Me too. I have a
no,
whole Excel folder of every group that competed in ICCAs, who won, like who
I love
I
it. That's awesome.
trust.
okay, we might have found
Trust.
someone a bigger nerd than I am when it
We
comes to acapella
we
music.
might
Never
have.
mind.
But we'll find out. We'll
Uh,
find out in a little
yeah,
bit.
we'll see later on. We got something for you in that case.
Okay.
No, but one of the things is I remember like a lot of the older videos, and you've spoken a lot about, levels and formations and things. And I think a lot of people, from what I've done the research, is like they attribute it, I think it was like Casual Harmony. There's a group out of Rutgers called Casual Harmony,
Mhm.
and they do like this slide. And I don't know what the technical term is, but they're like sliding forward while some people are sliding back, and they're sliding in between each
Mhm.
other. There's a lot of similar repetitive moves, just like simple things that just
Yeah.
maybe add a little bit. So I get what you're talking about in terms of, man, it's been almost like stagnant. And I'm like, I don't want to use that as a bad thing, but there hasn't been a need for it really,
Yeah.
because it's always been, hey, music is first, musicality first, and then the choreography comes next. So with that, my question is, given that you guys have done so much complex choreography, and maybe I'm getting the feeling that that's going to be a big part of your evolution moving forward, would choreography still be what it is for you guys group if like you didn't have individual mics, and you're dealing with just maybe
Mm.
more like if you're out and on the quad, or you're out on campus and you're doing stuff, do you guys think that you'd still be doing as much choreography if you didn't have all of the resources to do it how you wanted to do it?
So we going into it like I think we would. I definitely think we would have because like since we are such a new group, we're not even like program at school. We are still a club. So we
Right.
don't get like any like backing from the school. I mean, and they help so much. They really do. But we don't like this year we only had like 3 tech rehearsals with mics before finals. Um
Oh.
like we would have like PVC pipes that we just cut in half and that was our mics. And even like last year we had them. So I think we still would have like even let's say if it was like pre 2012 when people were
Mhm.
not everybody was not mic'd up, I still think we would have.
Hmm.
Uh but also with the times modernizing, I think that's what kind of happened with that. So there's like I can't really say. And in 2012 I
Right.
was like not even thinking about this. So
No, no, I can. Well, let me answer that for you, because I was in a group back in
I was gonna say,
2012, and
yeah.
were you alive in
like,
2012? No, I'm kidding.
okay, wow, Alicia, we're not going to do that now.
Hey,
I was
Um,
hey,
I
we
was
had an
9.
old people joke
oh,
earlier,
jeez.
so
I was 9 years old when Pitch
Oh,
Perfect came out. I'm not,
see.
but what's so crazy to me though was I remember like being obsessed with Pitch Perfect, like this little 9-year-old
Mhm.
me. And my mom, like, she, for my birthday, like, it was, we like didn't have a lot of money, but for my birthday, she splurged and got me like the CD of the movie and like a CD disc of the
oh,
soundtrack. And she was like, I'm sorry, like, I wasn't able to get you a gift, but like, happy late birthday. This is for you.
oh my gosh,
And
that's
Mhm.
awesome.
yeah, and I was like, I never thought I was actually gonna be doing a cappella. Like, I went into college like I'm gonna be a business girl.
Little did she know that
You can do
the
you can
pitch
do
perfect
both.
guy.
You can do
Oh,
both.
of
I
course.
I ended up quitting my job for like my job at the time for a cappella. I'm not even kidding. Like
What? Wait a
Wow.
minute. Wait.
it's a
That's
Okay.
crazy
dedication.
story.
That is
It's a
Wait.
dedication.
yeah.
I feel like wait. What job were you working? If you don't mind us
I
asking.
was a floor manager at T-Mobile. It's actually so insane. Like it's so crazy. So I this is my fourth year in college. I switched my
Okay.
major last year to musical theater, but I did business for
Okay.
2 years. And my
Right.
freshman year was Bloom's first year as a group. And I
Oh,
was
I
taking
thought this was their second. I thought this year
this is
was their
our
second year.
second year competing,
Okay.
but our third
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
year as a group.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it was our first year. And Jarek, who is one of the co-creators, so Cicely and Jarek both created it, Jarek Rose, he was in my English class. And
Okay.
he was like, "Oh yeah, I run the a cappella group at UVU." And I was like, "Oh, that's so cool. Like I sing, I would love to do that." And I looked and the rehearsal times were at the times that I worked. And I was like, "Oh well, can't do it. Sucks." And then one day we had like a final present, like we had a extra credit presentation in class where we just got to sing. And so I was like, I announced it the class before. I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm just gonna sing for my thing because I sing." And he was there for that. And he goes, "Oh, she sings." So he said, "You
Oh.
should join the a cappella group." And I said, "I would
Yeah.
love to, but I can't." And then the day comes and I sing in class and he was not there. He
Oh
actually
no.
like didn't show up a lot of the times, which was so
Oh.
funny. I
Wow.
sang twice in that class and he didn't show up. He wasn't in class for either of
That's
those
so
days.
funny. Okay.
I would have been so upset.
And then one day, one day we have an earthquake in class. And because I'm from California, in
Yeah.
California, what you do is you go on Twitter and you ask, "Did you feel it?" And nobody in Utah does
What?
that.
Oh my
Yeah, like
gosh.
No.
every time there's an earthquake in California, if you look up on Twitter, hashtag "Did you feel it?" You'll see every Californian like just "Did you feel it? Did you feel it?"
I did not.
So
That's really cool.
yeah,
That's a
so
new
I
one.
did that.
Mm-hmm.
And he was on Twitter and like we didn't follow each other. And he goes, "Hey, it's Jerk from your class. Ha 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 ha." And I was like, "Hi." And then I blocked him.
What? Wait, what?
Because I didn't want anybody having my Twitter because I was like, I was still a closeted
Oh.
gamer at this time. Like I didn't want that
Oh,
was for
okay.
my
Oh my
gaming stuff.
gosh. Oh
And
my
so
gosh,
I
that's so
blocked
funny.
him.
Oh
And then
no.
he like ended up following my Instagram and I posted a video of me singing jazz music. And
Hmm.
then that day he was like, "Join my a cappella group again." He messaged me. And I was like, "Sorry, I have a job." And he says, "Quit your job." He said, "Quit your job." And I was like, "Haha, no, I'm making good money. Not gonna happen."
Mm-hmm.
And then a bunch of like situations happened where I ended up having to quit my job. And then auditions came up and I didn't audition. And then Jarek extended the deadline by a week. And every day I would see him on campus, like every single day. No idea like why. And every day he was like, "Where's your audition?"
Mm.
And I was like, "Sorry, like I'm just busy. I'll get it in soon." He extends it by another week. And same thing every day. He's like, "I'm waiting for you to send it in." And I was like, "Oh, I'll get it in, I'll get it in." And he goes, "I'm gonna keep extending it until you audition." And the last day of that week extension at like 11:58, I submitted an audition. And
Wow.
Wow.
then I got in the group and yeah, so it was so funny because like I kept being like, "No, no, no, no." And look at what I'm doing
Mhm.
now.
So,
You
so
know,
I mean, this is a valuable lesson. Persistence pays off.
Yeah.
abs and I'm so glad that has a happy ending because first off, Jarek wasn't there to when you sang in
Yeah.
class, and then he got blocked on Twitter, and then
Hmm.
you were like, I got a job. I'm like, some people have been like, all right, I give up. So, boy, thank goodness that ended well. Thank
Yeah.
goodness.
Yep.
I have one more question for you.
Yeah.
So, to
Maybe
our
two. We'll
knowledge,
see.
maybe two, to our knowledge, Bloom is the youngest a cappella group historically to win ICCA.
Wait, are you serious?
To our knowledge,
Yes.
I mean, other than
Okay.
like the really early days when like the very first groups competed, but
No,
like
I did
no,
the
not
research.
even
I'm pretty sure
you
Bloom is the
okay.
youngest. Yeah.
So what is
That's
it?
insane.
Tell us what it means to you to be part of such a young a cappella group that has achieved success this early
It's
on.
it honestly means so much. Like we thought that we might have been the youngest group, but like I hadn't looked back that deep. But It's just crazy, but it means so much actually because
Yeah.
everybody in this group was like so committed and it really feels like a family. My sister even joined. My sister, she moved from
Yep.
California also
We
to
saw
do
that
this.
too.
Yeah, she was
Mhm.
like, she's like, I gotta do this. And
Wait, she moved out there. She moved out to Utah for the acapella group.
she moved out to Utah. She applied to BYU and she got to BYU, but she was
What?
like, I'm not gonna do BYU. I want to do UVU's a cappella group because I want to do it with my sister.
Wow. My
Yeah.
gosh.
What?
Wow.
That's
She wanted
That's
to do it with
insane.
dedication.
me.
That
Yeah.
is.
And
Yeah.
it's just like
Ah,
we put so much work in. We did the math. We rehearsed for over 201 hours, like over 200 hours of rehearsal time. And that is
Hmm.
not including additional practice times that we did on weekends and things
Hmm.
like that because everybody just really wanted to put so much effort and they're all into it. And we did suffer from like a lot of imposter syndrome as a group because we're like half of these members, it's their first year competing.
Right.
Um, Singing in a cappella, like in general, most of it was like most people's first years, and we're like, do we really deserve to go being so young?
Yes.
Um,
Yes, you do.
yeah.
feel good.
Like,
And
Yes,
that's like
absolutely.
and that's like the conversations we had to have, like, yes, like
Mhm.
if we didn't deserve it, we wouldn't have gone. Like that is
right.
just
Mhm.
that's the truth. Like we wouldn't have gone. And so it just really means a lot. We were like there's like videos of us like at quarterfinals crying, semifinals were all crying, and finals were all crying because it really meant like the world to us. Like and we don't take it lightly. It's not like, oh yeah, we won. Like we won this. No.
We won hair flip.
No. Like, oh yeah.
Hey, hey,
Yeah.
you guys are the best acapella group, college acapella group in the nation this year. You
I
should
know.
definitely own that.
And so
Yep.
we like it just really means so much and we're all still
Yeah.
hanging out like even though rehearsals are done, we're still setting things up to hang out with each other because like that's it's really about family at this point. It's not about
Absolutely.
winning. And it never was about winning going into it. Like people ask us like, Do you want to win the whole thing?" And we're like, "Yeah, it would be nice, but like just
Mhm.
the fact that we could go and share our emotions and tell the story we wanted to tell for the audience is what
Mhm.
we wanted the most. One of my favorite stories actually is like both my grandmothers, they don't speak English and they
Okay.
went to see us perform at semifinals and they were
Oh.
crying. Even though they didn't
Mm.
understand the story, they could feel it and that's what we wanted
Hmm.
out of it. And that's really what it means to us, just being able to give a performance of the lifetime and just put everything out on the stage is what it
I
is for
mean,
us.
that's such a beautiful sentiment, and I've always been a fan of, hey, where words fail, music speaks. So just to actually have a real life example and hearing it on the
Yeah.
show, that's just so incredible. And just
Awesome.
to your point about deserving it or not, one of the things that always gets me about acapella, especially the competition aspect, is you hear about these groups and like, man, we wish we could have gone, we didn't have the money, or we wish we could have gone, but our people have real world lives going on and they have all these
Mhm.
commitments and stuff. And like it's just such a disservice to art at the end of the day when groups decide not to do it, because at the end of the day we're here to share art, we're here to create music,
Mhm.
we're here to put the best out there. And I'm so glad Bloom got to go. And whether
Yeah.
you felt like you deserved it or not, obviously people thought you deserved it. I watched
Yeah.
your set, it was incredible. So the fact that
Thank
you
you.
guys went through with it, it would have been a huge disservice to the
Oh
acapella world.
yeah. It was hard, especially because we were the last semifinals to compete. So
Mm.
Mm,
raising the money was just it
Oh,
was
yeah.
rough. But
yeah.
we were so excited to be there. And it was just like so much fun meeting all the groups because like I've
Hmm.
always been a
Mhm.
huge fan of like Northern Lights. Wait, the British people? Like
Yes, the UK groups, man,
oh
they're
my
so
goodness.
good.
I
Yes.
was like so excited. And then like the group from Ontario, I can't remember who it was, but like just like these groups that I was watching last year and even like my first year, being able to meet those people was just crazy to me. I was
Hmm.
like, oh my gosh. And just knowing that, like, oh yeah, that was the best part for
I
me.
was going to
Just
say
like,
that's going to be
Yeah.
somebody from another group at competition in future years. They're going to be like, "Oh my gosh, we
Mhm.
met Bloom."
We met the Isabella at
oh
ICCA one
Yeah.
day. So I know that we're way over time, but this is like honestly the last question before we get to all our
hey.
trivia and other fun stuff. I did
To
want
see
to
who's the
bring up
bigger
you
nerd.
you you
Oh
no.
no.
I'm actually really curious to see that as well.
I'm
But
not
you
I'm
meant
we'll see. We'll
you
see.
mentioned it And so I feel like I got to bring it up. But you said your sister, I believe her name is Emma, correct?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Emma.
so she's in a group. Can you like shortly or quickly just talk to us, what's that experience like being able to sing in an a cappella group with your sister? Because a lot of times people say, hey, this group is like my family. It's it's really a big thing to me. But you're literally living your a cappella dreams out with your sister. What's that been like performing with her?
It's so crazy. It's so exciting too because like we'll be at competitions and like oh my gosh, bathtub dogs. We love bathtub dogs. They compete in the Southwest region. I remember being there and my sister was like, they're giving troublemakers. And like she gets it because she grew up with the same addiction that I had, but it's like so nice. She was the last soloist for our set. And I was like, oh, I love her voice because I'm more of a soprano and she's definitely the alto. She sings tenor one. Um,
Yeah.
Way to
so
go.
it's so
Way to
fun
go,
because
Emma.
in I know, way to go. In high school, we did jazz choir together, but we were in separate jazz choirs. So we never got that
Mm,
experience to actually sing together. But it's really nice whenever like just having family there because it just makes me feel all of us feel even more connected. Um, yeah, it's just incredible. Like she would when we were going into semifinals, like she was singing her song, her solo, and I remember just standing there and just crying. It just means so much to me because I'm so proud of her. Just
mhm.
oh yeah, I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
cry, but it
No,
just means
hey.
so much. It really does. Just to be able to do that and getting my whole family excited about acapella. They said, I'm a big believer in manifestation, and our first day of practice, I said, "We're going to New York." I said, "We're going to New York,"
Yeah,
and everybody was like, "You're crazy." Like, "No, we're not going to New York." And I was like, "We're
And
going to New
you
York."
can be crazy and still be right.
Yeah.
that's true.
And my parents were like, "Well, if you say that, like, we're gonna take the whole family to New York if you go." And so our whole family was there. So
Oh my
Ah,
gosh,
that's so
that's so
awesome.
awesome.
it's like our
Yeah.
whole world now. Like my mom doesn't shut up about it. My dad doesn't shut up about it. My brother, he not a musical person at all, but he saw our set and
Mhm.
he was like, the opener reminded me of Halo. Like the
Wow, that's awesome.
so
Hey,
it's
we're
just so
out there
funny.
making believers out of non-acapella people. I love it.
Yep,
Love
and
it.
gamers. Gamers alike.
Believers.
There you go. I mean, that's so awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Like I said, that's touching. I mean, I'm trying my best not to get choked up over here just hearing that. I love it. I love when we have people that really show why this art is so important to so many people. So
Well,
thank you for
and
sharing that.
I think what you've
Yeah.
shared with us has definitely illustrated a couple things. One, like persistence pays off. Well done, Jarek. And two, like you can be a great a cappella group even if you don't have all of the resources that some other groups have. Like
Yeah.
Bloom is a perfect example of that.
Mhm.
Yeah. And
Absolutely.
one thing I heard from one of my professors is like entertainment and art really is like bring like what's the word I'm thinking in Spanish now, like drives the world to like move like people for their free time, like art is just their comfort, like go to relax. They don't think it's that important until they actually experience it and then they're just
Hmm.
like
Mhm.
wow. And music's always been so much for me, like and it's just so nice to see people that are not involved just falling in love with it.
I love that.
Absolutely. Well
That's awesome.
said. I think that's the perfect way to end it right there.
Mhm.
So, man, it has been such a pleasure speaking with you, Isabella, today. I mean, we've had so much fun. Hopefully, you had just as much fun as we did. We got to learn more about you, and man, stunned us with your answers here. Thank you so much. We want to give you, of course, time to shout out your group Bloom, any upcoming projects you have, anything that you have personally going on in your life that you want to share with the audience.
Watch out for our studio recording. It's gonna come out, I believe, maybe in June. I don't know. As well as our EP for our set.
Ooh, okay.
For
I love it.
me, if you're a fan of UVU, watch out for some commercials. You might see a little
Ooh.
surprise.
Ooh.
Okay. I like that.
And yeah,
Wow.
follow us.
So Isabella, where's the best place for our audience to find Bloom at?
So it's gonna be Instagram. So it's just Bloom Acapella. Make sure you spell acapella right.
Two P's and two
Thank
Don't
you.
ask me to
L's.
spell it.
Okay. Two
A
P's, two
C A
L's.
P P E L L A.
There you go. All right.
I was
See,
gonna say, should we have made that a trivia question?
It's gonna be a future.
I used to be a business student. I couldn't spell business until my first year. I'm being honest.
Hey, it's all about getting the money. It's not about spelling. I get it.
At least you're honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, TikTok, Bloom A Cappella as well. And then if you want to follow me, isa.gringalatina
I love it.
on Instagram.
On Instagram. Perfect.
Perfect. Yeah, we'll be sure to drop those links in the description below so we can make sure to link everything over to both Bloom and Isabella. And that is going to wrap up our episode of Talkappella today. We just want to thank you so much, Isabella, once again for coming on. Fantastic guest. We love learning about you and all that you have going on. And we wish Bloom the very best moving forward.
And
Thank you so much.
And you.
Thank you.
Of course. Well, everyone, that's going to do it for today's episode. We want to be sure to thank Acaville TV for allowing us to stream on their platform. We have more Talkappella coming at you. So for everything else, stay tuned.